Hello, I'm back again for my Q&A, and this time I'm going to be answering a question, at least I'll do my best shot at it, from a couple who asked the question, how do we use conflict to deepen the relationship? Oh my gosh, I love that question. I'm going to be challenged to keep it brief though, because I teach entire workshops on this. It's kind of the foundation of a lot of what I do with couples and what you're going to hear in the response. And I use a quote a lot to open up to addressing this kind of a question. And that is, it comes from Harville Hendricks, and it says, conflict is growth trying to happen. And that's so true. So if we have some foundational skills, we can use conflict to deepen the connection. And conflict can happen for a number of reasons. It can be that we're just not taking the time to connect enough, or it can also be that there's a fundamental conflict of needs or a conflict of values. But we have the skills I'm going to be mentioning here in a moment. We can handle this, and it can be an opportunity to deepen the relationship. Now, before I mention these skills, I'm going to say there's a foundational attitude to step into. And that attitude is one of unconditional positive regard. We drop into our hearts and we see the other as not wrong, not guilty of anything, and also see ourselves as not wrong or guilty of anything, and remove all shame. And we step into this place in our hearts. And if we cannot do that, tools and techniques are worthless. So from there, I go into what I think is the miracle worker, which is the realm of deep listening. It's a set of skills in this tool of deep listening to deepen the connection that can happen and what's possible. And when people can when I see couples practicing what I teach them with deep listening skills, miracles can take place. It's unbelievable what's possible. I think of a line from that famous prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, which is, grant not so much. Grant that I may not so much seek to be understood as to understand. For it is in the giving that we receive. So when we give this gift, the other person is more able to also give the gift. So it's quite a phenomenal thing. And I have many, many examples, but I need to keep this brief, of couples who had dramatic turnarounds after they learned these skills and started to practice them with one another. Because we can just get into loggerheads with one another if we don't actually practice this. I call it, it's a sign of emotional maturity to be able to practice and give that gift of understanding. And then the other skill that's it's really a set of skills, is the realm of speaking our truth from a place of radical self-responsibility and that unconditional positive regard. So we speak our truth, and that includes setting boundaries where needed. But we do the boundaries with what a whole set of skills that I call giving an I message. And an I message is a powerful way of addressing a behavior that we're maybe not so thrilled about, but we do it in a way that opens up discussion and doesn't make the person feel like they're being blamed or put down. So I'll say a couple things about the I message, but just know that I teach a whole bunch of workshops on this kind of thing. But the I message is, we set the stage. We start it with setting the stage where we're kind of communicating that it's going to be a safe thing for our spouse, where it's going to be a safe thing for them to hear this. But by expressing maybe an appreciation, or expressing a sense of our commitment to the relationship, something of that sort, something really positive. And then we go into actually expressing what it is. So we'll be describing the behavior that we're having a bit of a challenge with. And we do that without any yous, no you pronouns. And we don't put in any suggestions, and we don't put any opinions in there. We just describe the behavior, and then we describe how does that affect us in some adverse way. It might be keeping us from getting our needs met. So we describe that, and then we end the iMessage with what would be our ideal instead of this happening? You know, what would we ideally love to experience? But guess what? We do that without telling the other person what to do. So that's an iMessage. I thought I wrote out a couple examples. I'm going to do them really quickly because I'm almost out of time. So let me give you one of them. This says, "Sweetheart, I value our love so very much and your commitment to us. I have something I want to share because I'm committed to our relationship based on openness and honesty. When I leave a message requesting a response, and I don't get one until we get together that night, I'm left without an answer and have a number of concerns that I sit with for the rest of the day. I would love it if I could get a quick response, knowing you're okay, and can proceed with having this information." Okay, there's one. I'll give you one more. "Candace, you mean the world to me, and I want to share something because I value our relationship so very much. When we have plans to go out and set a time, and this gets pushed back by 30 minutes or later, we often are not able to make it to the movie or show on time, and we end up missing part of it. And so I end up feeling a bit disappointed and less able to be in a joyful space with you. I can understand when something important comes up, yet this seems to be happening most of the time. It would be so very wonderful to be able to know our fun plans can be fully honored and get to look forward to enjoying all of these plans together." Okay, there's one. And so you can see that coming from this unconditional positive regard and giving that gift of deep understanding with our full presence in deep listening, and giving the gift of our own truth in a loving way that really gets to the core of what it is that's disturbing us, but from a place of self-responsibility, and setting boundaries wherever necessary. When we can do that, it can actually use conflict to deepen our connection with each other. So thank you so much, and stay tuned for the next Q&A. Bye-bye.